A triumphant return to Florida brings the IORA Cup Series back to the former home of its championship race, Homestead, Florida, the Homestead-Miami Speedway, and it is great to return to the southeast in the United States. IORA Cup Series is due to go international soon, but before it does, we head back to a very familiar location for 150 miles of racing down south by the Florida coast. Welcome back for race number 8 on Season 6's campaign, live exclusively on FTN Broadcasting. I'll be your host for tonight's broadcast. I'm David Croyts, commentating and producing. Qualifying is on the move, single car qualifying as always in the IORA Cup Series, and so far 2 drivers have taken times, and drivers are still getting settled in to go for their attempts. More than 25 drivers have registered for one of the biggest intermediate race crowds that we have ever seen in this league, shaping up for what's going to be an interesting night based on those figures, as we're now due to take a look downstairs to the racing circuit. Currently on the way will be the number 069 of Frank DeAngelis coming back, one of many making a first start on the season. Douglas Newbigin coming in, also Christian Delgado, a notable rookie, and some of our brand new drivers from last week as well, notably including Cooper Glick returning. He has been here before, gotten a podium finish before, as a matter of fact. Frank DeAngelis is now going to stand on the provisional pole position. Let's take a look now at what these drivers have done, and so far DeAngelis' time sets and has its step above the rest of the field. 33.693 for Frank puts him up on top. Up next will be Douglas Newbigin in the 071, and Doug gets on the way, and his first lap already said and done. He'll be on for his next, which is recorded as his 3rd overall tonight. Newbigin, one of the multiple drivers coming in for the first time as a brand new entry. You can see NASCAR College Series driver, and he's got himself representing Monarch Esports. He and Frank DeAngelis coming in together. Interesting to see some of these new drivers taking a chance as we're now almost halfway into the championship campaign. Across the stripe for Doug Newbigin, that's going to be a time 1/10 of a second quicker than that of Frank DeAngelis. It goes up to the top. Next up going to be Cooper Glick in the 05 for SKS Graphics. Glick gets on the move, and he will be followed shortly after. It will be Akari King, so your new drivers and those who weren't all too quick in first practice going to be on the way first and foremost. Then we'll get to the rest of the field immediately after. 21 minutes left in this practice session, this qualifying session, shall we say, and then we'll get on to your main event. And it looks like right now for Glick, as he stays up to the top side of the circuit, trouble, but he should be able to finish the lap, and he will. Down and in. He will decide to forfeit the lap and come down and in, puttering to the start-finish line. Glick's time is a 36.68, not nearly good enough. He'll be starting at the back of the field no matter what. Akari King now going to be on the way, the rookie in the number 10 who got some good top 10 time last week. Second career start for Akari, and he'll get on the way once again. This time it looks like he's in the beige and black Chevrolet, or Ford Mustang, shall we say, making the switch over to the blue ovals tonight as we head back down to Miami. Immediately after Akari King, we'll see another driver. That'll be Christian Delgado in the number 13, it appears, although Delgado joining late. It's interesting, he went out on track. They might penalize him for that. Mind you, it looks like he's being told now, and we'll see whether or not he backs it down, as already Akari King puts a lap in. That will be good for 3rd place as it stands. Christian Delgado is on the move and will be permitted to go for this lap time, and that's going to be the number 13 now, making his way. First-time starter Delgado is, and that number 13, brand new look as he comes across the high side of turns 1 and 2. A little bit slower, backing down to as slow as 135 through turns 1 and 2 here, so going to need a big second half if he wants to make anything of this run. And mind you, Christian not putting in any practice time, so this is going to be interesting to see where he stacks up compared to a majority of the field that have been here for a little while longer. As Delgado comes across the stripe here, Christian's going to set a time good for a 34.031. That puts him up to 3rd behind DeAngelis and Newbigin. All the while, it'll be Braxton Whitaker on the way. The 51 is up next, and he will go through. Very familiar look for Braxton. He is the first of these drivers in qualifying not to be a rookie this season. With the sole exception, of course, of Cooper Glick, who has been part-time for more than a year and a half now. Braxton Whitaker, one of the day one drivers in this league. And so with Braxton getting on the way, we'll see what we can expect of some of our more familiar drivers as the night is due to progress. Currently for TH Designs, Braxton might not have a teammate this season, but he's been working his paint scheme well for several now as he's made the switch to the next gens onto the Xfinity cars and has gotten some time in the sun with some top 10 and even top 5 pace as of late. That will put him provisionally up into third, so a good start for Braxton. We'll see what else is left for him as the night goes on. Hunter Bogdan, the 86, is next up. Hunter is actually going to be one of those drivers who's running under the Braxton Whitaker banner. Not a teammate necessarily, but will be driving for the number 51. And so now, as Hunter goes through, he'll be following his team owner, and Jim Thurston will be next up. A few more drivers due to be on the way of note, including River Page, of course, one of the many you got to look out for. Chase Schaefer and Henry Kaloff as a Bogdan gets loose. And much like the 0-5 of Cooper Glick, he's going to forfeit that lap and putter across the line. The 86 comes through with a 38.63 as Jim Thurston gets on the way. Watch out here, the Season 3 champion won his title at this circuit. And I think of all else, he's going to be very strong at this venue. Let's see what he does from here. Jim Thurston, Daniel Mosteller, and River Page. All of them have one thing in common. They won their IORA Cup Series championships at this venue before. It's the first time in this league's history we're going very early. What's going on here, which is, of course, Homestead-Miami in the middle of the schedule. Hasn't been seen before, so for these drivers, usually when we come down to Miami, there are championship implications. Thurston with a great run, 33.6, putting him up into the provisional pole by 0.2 of a second over the already strong New Bigging and DeAngelis duo. Then from there, you're going to have another driver going, and it looks like for now, that will be Corey Lyles in the 56. Corey getting on the move as we speak. With Corey Lyles getting going here, let's see what he can do. It'll be Corey right now, and it looks like a few other drivers still parked. No direct indicator of who will decide to go. Reverse practice order is still going to be in effect here, but a few drivers who did not take practice have entered this session and gotten themselves a time in. So Jim Thurston, not the best practice time for him, but it's clear he's got the speed and jumps all the way up to the top. And it looks like now, as the sun continues to set, perhaps the advantage will be for the drivers here who are waiting a little bit longer until, of course, they go in for their run. Number 56 of Corey Lyles getting a chance to best all his JFR teammates and get out on there first. And there's going to be a few other drivers with them, including Aaron Schugel, the number 91. For the time being, though, it looks like Coastal Florida sees Corey Lyles get on the track before him. 15 minutes left in this qualifying session to see if we can get every driver bundled in. More than 25 registered tonight, and in an intermediate track, which we have not often seen, 25 plus attendance tonight in Homestead. The field is out in droves. Jason Sametto goes up to 9th, so Lyles and Sametto took laps at the same time there, and it looks like they're both going to be officially validated. Jason just a few seconds behind Corey, and it looks like a few seconds behind in speed as well. Jason will be 9th, Corey will be 4th. Michael Deitch is now on the move in the number 17, and it looks like he has gone the way of the pink number 17 this time around. October, Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and so Michael Deitch among the many here in FTN who is honoring and respecting the cause, and we'll have a lot of pink paint schemes to speak of this week, as we are now smack in the middle of our October schedule. 2 more October races to go from here until Halloween. Matter of fact, we'll be going to Talladega on the 31st of October, and I'm sure you'd like to be with us then and there. It's going to be a wonderful time at the High Bank Circuit with 2.66 miles of length. Michael Deitch is going to put himself in 7th, just behind Christian Delgado. Up next, the triple-digit threat, red, white, and blue for the 006, and back again in his original number. Welcome back, Jacques Carter. And so now it looks like the triple-digit threat has made his way out of the circuit through turns 3 and 4. We'll see what he can do here and if he can get a strong run. His first lap came in as a 1 minute and 4 second venture around the circuit, and that's including all the time he spent on pit road. Red, white, and blue all out for this Toyota Supra, and as he crosses the stripe, it looks like it's a 33.7, a time good enough to jump up to provisional 4th place. Not bad at all for Carter's team as Vinny Tigner now gets on the way. And for Vinny Tigner, while his championship race on Saturday night will not end up being at Homestead, this is an important track to know and perhaps the most tricky of all intermediates. Not like any other, a mile and a half in length, the Homestead-Miami Speedway is versatile with progressive banking, and you can go anywhere from the high side all the way down to the bottom and make it work, which is something we say about a few other tracks. None does it hold truer than the Homestead-Miami Speedway, where drivers like Kyle Larson and Tyler Reddick have made a name for themselves working up top. Looks like Vinny Tigner does a little bit of both and jumps up to provisionally third place, just ahead of Frank DeAngelis there. Not a bad lap in the slightest. And so now Henry Kaloff's on the way. Kaloff, another one of those drivers who races in SNT competition, as does River Page and Jim Thurston. Alexander Valderas too. Looks like Valderas will be on deck and he'll be going after this lap, and so Henry Kaloff making his way through turns 3 and 4. Brand new look with a TF56 design Chevrolet. New sponsor for Henry Kaloff and representing it well for Kaloff Deitch Racing, the new team, and it looks like new paint schemes, both of which Henry just quicker than Frank DeAngelis. Not enough to get by Vinny Tigner, though. Gap between he and Vinny, 5/1000th of a second. Connor Mirabelli now going to go ahead of Alexander Balderas, and Balderas slows down as he lets Connor go right by. So the 00 Haas CNC machine is going to come through turns 1 and 2. Connor, a rookie this season overall, but he's shown some strong speed, notably at the short tracks, but also at the intermediates. Been a solid driver, really hasn't caused any issues, and so hoping to build and garner a reputation of being a strong competitor as the season goes by. Connor is going to be up next, so as he comes across the line, it'll be a 33.472, a time good for second place as it stands. Connor Mirabelli going to impress, and the 00, the rookie, goes up into the front row provisionally with Alexander Balderas now on the way. Notable absences from the qualifying procedure so far include the following: Vincent Guecci, Nathan Palawada, Aiden Walker, Jacob Wilkerson, and Daniel Mosteller. Vincent Guecci will be the next driver to take a lap, and after him will be Yahir Rodriguez, as it looks like they're both getting themselves set up right now. 95 of Alexander Balderas, making through turns 3 and 4 as a two-time career winner and a one-time winner this season. Balderas will make his way across the line, and so the 95 with a 33.9 will slot in 10th. Vincent Guecci's up next, and he's shown to be strong before the middle of a qualifying run, and he's hoping to bring that same success back into the fray tonight in the Little Bites number 88s. Vincent Guecci, Yahir Rodriguez are the next two drivers on the move. Michael Mitchum coming back after his third consecutive podium and his third consecutive pole position. If Mitchum is to go out here and set a lap, he'd be looking for 4 straight pole positions, the likes of which we have never seen in IORA Cup Series history. He's gotten 1 win out of those 4, or rather 3 poles so far, and the question becomes whether or not he can go for win number 2 tonight. Vincent Guecci, strong. That's a 3rd place lap for him. Next up is Yahir Rodriguez in the 16. Rodriguez on the move now. Number 16 machine going to be running the SpongeBob SquarePants paint scheme, something we saw out of Vincent Guecci all of last season. Tonight, it's going to be the Krabby Patty Meal scheme, so a little bit of real-life crossover, though no Wendy's branding on it. So far, the 16 doing a pretty good job in his first 2 career starts, making it back onto the circuit again, and it looks like becoming more of a regular. Rodriguez is going to show that he's got the good stuff as he comes across for his one and only lap. 33.6 will be quick enough for P5 tentatively. Here comes Nathan Palawada, and Jacob Wilkerson will be immediately thereafter. Nathan Palawada coming away with a career-best P4 finish 2 weeks ago. He's looking stronger and stronger to maybe go out there and break into race-winning conversations. But so far for Nathan, the big trouble has been making the early speed last for 100-plus laps, something which is very challenging to convert when many drivers are especially strong. But right now for Palawada, if he gets that early advantage, it could set him up for the rest of the way. Across the line for the number 78, Nathan Palawada, going to be P3 tentatively. His teammate is going to be starting just ahead of him in first, and now comes Jacob Wilkerson. Take a ride on board now with the number 43 and see what's going on inside the cockpit. An abundance of counter steering back and forth for Jacob Wilkerson, and that lap time puts him up to 12th. Not the time he was looking for, certainly, but Jacob having some struggles with control, and it's going to show. Mike Mitchum now on the way, and he's looking to set his 4th consecutive pole position, which will be an IORA Cup Series record. Now, he's got the chance to do so. Coming out of turns 3 and 4 at 180 miles an hour, Mike is going to decide to head down to the bottom here. He's been to the circuit many a time before, but we've never seen him here in IORA as a rookie this season. Mitchum's going to come across the line, and as he comes through, his lap time, 33.369, will not be enough. 8 1/1000ths of a second off pole. Jim Thurston will usurp the number 38, and so Trevor Huff is up next, the 29, making his first start of the season. Mitchum close, just beaten by 7 official thousandths of a second. Not going to be there, but it was a rather close attempt for Mike Mitchum, and so his pole position streak will come to an end, and now his worst starting position is a 2nd place in this league. Mike is going to find himself on the front row regardless, unless we see a shocker out of Trevor Huff, Daniel Mosteller, and those that remain to finish up qualifying. So far, Trevor Huff being one of which that we did not expect to see, coming in pretty late, and he's got his JFR teammates out there on track in Lyles and, of course, Aaron Schugel. Looks like it'll be a fast lap there for Trevor Huff. That's going to be good for P3. Not bad in the slightest as Trevor Huff puts it up there to the top of the charts. Daniel Mosteller next on the way, and a former series champ twice over, crowned at this very circuit in seasons 1 and 2. And so now he comes back again, Cherry Red Fanta, number 87, red as he was in the olden days of his best seasons of success. But it's a brand new look regardless, and for Daniel Mosteller, now it's time to bring it back to the pace he had in those first 2 seasons where he won both championships at this venue. Season 2 was particularly contentious. It was a 3-way fight to the final race, and Mosteller was the man that came out on top. He will not be on top in qualifying tonight. 14 thousandths off the pole. Is up next will be Joseph Armstrong. Armstrong on the way, and it looks like a total of 30 drivers have registered for tonight's showing. The biggest intermediate crowd we have had all season long, the biggest intermediate crowd that we have had all year long, and it's wonderful to see increased participation in this league. Something the likes of which we might have not expected for a mid-season race like Homestead, but nevertheless it's a welcome surprise as now Joe Armstrong gets on the way. On deck is going to be Aiden Walker, and Armstrong wrecks coming out of 4. His lap will not be validated. So Aiden Walker is up next with a shocker from Armstrong as he's going to back it down and bow out to start at the back of the field. So now 5 minutes and 40 seconds left. Still a few more drivers to get through, including Van Drugman, River Page, Aaron Schugel, and it looks like Chase Schaefer. Andres Varas might be in it as well, and we might see every driver go out there to get at least one time in. For the time being, it looks like Aaron Schugel, it might be the last of which, that remains to be seen, pending participation from Chase Schaefer and Andres Varas alike. And that time by, it's going to be a huge run there for Aiden Walker. Gets him up to 7th, but that top 5 is contentious. Very hard to break into. Unfortunately, not going to work out for Walker. He finds himself in the 2nd pack when it comes to qualifying speed. River Page now going to be on the way, and the number 24, defending champ who won the title at this track, well, I'm thinking he knows what it takes to bring the speed to Homestead. He had to do it in the clutch recently, so to do it again, it's go big or go home. And for River right now, as he'll come across the line, it looks like for the number 24, good pace, and that is going to be pace good enough to be right beside Mike Mitchum. Oh, so close to knock it into the front row. 1/1000th of a second off. River Page strong for P3. Van Drugman, new look for the number 2 after a solid but unexpected top 10 last week, able to avoid the last lap carnage and make his way 4th. Van is a rookie, nevertheless with a lot to prove. So tonight, as he goes so late in qualifying here, he had a load of pace in the practice session, and might be able to use it now to his advantage as the number 2 gets away through turns 3 and 4 with the emblem of the Miller Lite Blue Deuce on his back. Brad Keselowski won in that paint scheme at this track his 2012 championship. And for Van Drugman, that lap time solid, good enough to put himself right within the confines of the top 10. Sixth place, and the last time taken. Qualifying has concluded here in Florida, and so now it's time to move on to your main event. It's going to be action from the virtual Homestead-Miami Speedway, 100 laps and 150 miles rain on the clock, and at the pole position, a very familiar face, Jim Thurston, and the number 96. Power Smash Infinity Speed Motorsports takes the pole once again. So now drivers going to line up on that virtual start-finish line once more. It's a great place to be, Homestead-Miami Speedway, for some action-packed racing and a massive field of drivers, so let's run right through them quick. 30 strong have registered for tonight's race, the highest number of participation we've seen in more than a season and a half, and Jim Thurston gets to be the lucky man to lead this stout field of drivers out to turns 1 and 2. He'll be on the pole position alongside three-time former pole sitter Mike Mitchum. This is his lowest ever qualifying position in this league, and it is a lowly second place. River Page will be in third with Daniel Mosteller, then P4, and fifth place goes to Trevor Huff. Alongside him, the rookie and Van Drugman, both of which making the first and second starts respectively. Connor Mirabelli, the rookie, once again impresses in qualifying. It'll be seventh place for Connor, and then eighth for Nathan Palawada. Ninth place will be River Page. Well, not in the slightest, but instead a driver he's been battling with, and Aiden Walker. Vincent Guecci, number 88, who's been unsuspecting most of this season, just within the confines for a top 10. He'll be in that 10th spot. 33.548 meets the criteria to make it in. Then you got 11th place, and that'll be Doug Newbigging. Yahir Rodriguez in 12th, and Vinny Tigler in P13. Henry Kalof's going to be in the 14th spot with Frank DeAngelis then in 15th, and Jacques Carter, the triple-digit threat, alongside another triple-digit driver in 16th. 19th and 20th will be just behind Lyles and Wilkerson, who find themselves P17 and 18 respectively. 19th is Braxton Whitaker, and Alexander Balderas will conclude the top 20. Final drivers from here, it's going to be Christian Gatto and Michael Deitch, with then Akari King and Cooper Glick, P23 and 24. 25, 26, Jason Sonetto and Hunter Bogdan. Bogdan, the last driver to take a time. Then it'll be Joseph Armstrong, Chase Schaefer, Aaron Schugel, and Andres Faras, rounding out a 30-driver field here in Homestead. Wonderful size. It's a packed house in Miami, and it's great to be back to Homestead, the former home of the IORA Cup Series championship race. We eagerly anticipate 150 miles at this venue, the Homestead-Miami Speedway, reprofiled in the early 2000s, originally a miniature clone of the Indianapolis Motor Speedway with minimal banking. The mile-and-a-half speedway here in Homestead is as innovative as they come, the first of which in the NASCAR Cup Series with all progressive banking corners. 82 degrees track temperature will be 85, and it'll be clear skies all night long with moderate humidity. Track conditions will not be a concern for drivers tonight in Homestead. What will be a concern is it's a day-to-night race, and the sun has been setting ever since we got this practice session started. Tonight, of course, Jim Thurston has the edge up and in front. We'll see how well track position plays into the picture in what is in effect a sprint race. 100 laps, and it's not going to be a long one, but it will be a big one for Jim Thurston and Mike Mitchum. They lead the field of turns 1 and 2 as we go racing once again here in Florida. Welcome back to Miami. This is the Coastal Florida 150. Mike Mitchum slow. Back of the field, Akari King is going to spin. We got an interesting predicament, but no caution. Something happening to two drivers, and one of which started on your front row. Lap number 2, Mike Mitchum down to 26. 27 drivers take it to the start-finish line. So, as we see now, some troubles for the number 38. We're going to find out what exactly caused that, as Mike Mitchum is going to drop all the way back at once. Mitchum going to be involved with Jim Thurston, and they got contact through 3 3 and 4 gonna slow them both down as they hooked into each other, and we saw a similar incident with Thurston and Schaefer alike just a few weeks ago when we went racing in Charlotte. So not good to see, but it's unfortunately not an unfamiliar circumstance. It's just going to significantly harm the chances for Mike Mitchum here. He'll head down a pit road early, and it looks like from his lowest qualifying position to his lowest ever race position. He and Yahir Rodriguez will go in together as Hunter Bogdan is going to start the race one lap down. Early drama at the back of the field. Meanwhile, your new leader is coming through. Enter River Page, the number 24 now, having himself back in front, and the position that he won this championship in last year, back in the hot seat, and he is back leading. Rookie's going to make up positions 3, 4, 5, and that's going to change now with Trevor Huff on the hot seat. If he can get by Daniel Mosteller, he's looking to get himself up into the picture to battle for the lead in his first ever start. Trevor coming through as if he's Mike Mitchum, a rookie with power and with speed. Van Drugman didn't have the best of opening races. He's a driver we've seen before on FTN. If you watch Sunday nights on FTN, Schumacher Racing League, you might know the name, you might also know the paint scheme, but if you only watch on Thursday nights, he was rather anonymous, really didn't get all too much done. Tonight, a little bit of a difference. He's already up there inside the top 5, and it looks like getting that boost of momentum and confidence out of a very strong finish. He's looking to catalyze that and make it a lot more tonight by not only improving upon his racecraft in these situations of long green flag racing, but also the fact that now it seems like there's a very good position for him to just stay where he is and learn from the best of the best. Trevor Huff in that spot as well, although I think he's pretty familiar with someone like River Page, who now is going to go diving deep and in as up top Daniel Mosteller goes, and already going to see that difference in the attitudes of driving up and down. Multiple grooves. Now we'll find out which is best. And one early question you have to ask is, yes, is there a best groove, or can everything be used equally? In all honesty, usually there is a best groove. It's not like every groove works equally at the same time, but every groove can be used, and they all have their moment. A lot of drivers right now are going to be on the bottom side, but I can almost guarantee you this. 50 laps from now, strongly doubt we're going to see the same thing taking place. We're going to see that strategy shift massively as the night goes on, which is not to say that the tires will be worn out completely, not to say the drivers up front will be completely different, but we're simply going to see the drivers decide to move up top in mass as the night goes on. It's a trend we've seen many a time before when observing races at this circuit. It is not easy to keep yourself down low for 100 laps and keep consistent pace. Instead, drivers begin to experiment. And it's often, oftentimes, off the backs of drivers like Corey Lyles right now, who's already trying to rubber in this area. And he's up in 14th here, working alongside the number 43 of Jacob Wilkerson. Not going to be easy to do it on your own, of course, if you're someone like Lyles, trying to make something happen by using that high groove without any assistance. In all honesty, it's a risk, and it might not be worth taking as an individual, but for the entire field, they're going to love seeing that that groove is warmed up and worn in for them. Van Drugman now going to be side by side with Trevor Huff, two drivers who've been battling consistently alongside each other in the Schumacher Racing League. Well, they're doing it once again. And while Jim Thurston had a little bit of a setback there with his involvement and conflict with that number 38 of Mike Mitchum, he finds himself to get the better half of it. While Mitchum now is going to be one lap down in 27th, Jim Thurston is still inside of the top 10, and as a matter of fact, might be on the charge to get back up there to the top 5. That time through, he gets back up into that P6 spot, as high as first, of course, where he started, and as low as the 9th position. For Jim Thurston, not an easy race so far, but those early setbacks will mean very little if he can keep climbing up the ladder as he has already. Making gains, but still down 5 on where he qualified. I think Jim Thurston here has a lot more to go until he gets back up to where he is in pace and where he wants to be. So watch out. Don't think he's done, and I don't think the damage was significant enough to stop him. Meanwhile, the majority of the field is already going to be single file, and most drivers are choosing not to take risks. And usually this not risk-taking mindset or ideology that comes up in Homestead is prompted not by the way the drivers want to handle the race, but by the understanding it's the championship race usually. If you've been watching the IORA Cup Series for many years or even multiple seasons at this point, you would know Homestead is the hallowed ground. We crown our champion here each and every season, except this one. It's going to be a little bit different. For the first time, we're moving away from Miami, and it looks to be a permanent departure because instead, we'll be going to Las Vegas Motor Speedway for our finale in late December, a 140-lap spectacle, and it's a change that has been made after seasons of deliberation, doing something brand new. But historically, with this series anyhow, Homestead is the place to go to end the campaign and crown a champion. And for Daniel Mosteller, your race leader, he's done it twice here and come away as the champion, and the only time, of course, the only two times that he's missed it, he did not come away as a champ. In Season 4, he had a chance against Sean Conklin with 2 races to go, missed 1 race, and that was it. And for Mosteller, not the strongest of championship runs last season, only coming away to barely scrounge up 3rd in points. But Season 1, he was the by far best driver. He was the only driver to attempt almost every race, most drivers missing more than 4, 5, or 6, while Mosteller ran on empty tracks for hundreds of laps at a time just to validate victories in the point system. In Season 2, things were a little bit different. We had a much more competitive field, race in, race out, and were able to get away with longer green flag runs and stronger action all throughout the field, even if most drivers were still new and lesser experienced than they are today. For Daniel Mosteller, it was a 3-man championship battle. He, Jim Thurston, and Mason Moriarty, all of which had to come together and battle on the final track of the final day of the season. And Daniel Mosteller again came out advantageous. He went in with the edge and he finished with it as he came in as strong as they were. River Page, not the same scenario. He had to battle all season long in Season 5 to get the job done. Jim Thurston, slightly different circumstances. He dealt with a playoff round system in which the rounds reset fully, and so he never had a set advantage, but went into Homestead and was clearly the best driver and won as a result. Jim Thurston, River Page, and of course Daniel Mosteller, all having that in common. It is no surprise to see right now Mosteller and Page 1st and 2nd, and no surprise to see Jim Thurston still hanging on despite what presumably is some tire damage and overall a little bit of a shaken number 96, although he's still doing a pretty good job all things considered. Daniel Mosteller and Page going to look behind and see now Aiden Walker coming up on Trevor Huff. Might begin to see a battle once more, this time the 93 going toe-to-toe with Huff. So Aiden Walker going to dive down low side by side, and so does Van Drugman. And now the number 2, Van's going to make his way through to 2nd again. It looks like the Blue Deuce has not come around to play, and he's already going to find himself just behind Daniel Mosteller. River, not much else he could do. Tried to work it low, but there's just not enough traction, not enough grip, and not enough pace. That's why Aiden Walker right now is taking the advantage over Trevor Huff. They might be running side by side through the corners. But even with that advanced momentum that comes out of the outside usually, Homestead's progressive banking makes it a little bit different. Not as much an advantage in that regard. Instead, you get a little bit more out of running the extremes, the middle groove. It does not seek to help you. Moreover, battles in the back of the field will include side by side. Joe Armstrong getting in the mix. Alexander Balderas now with Yahir Rodriguez. And it looks like for Yahir, 1 lap down, all the while Balderas is in 17th. Now, up to the high side, the 006 of Carter doesn't really look like he's getting involved, and instead is leaving Balderas and Rodriguez at it. Yahir is 1 lap down once again. Alexander Balderas, one of the final drivers on the lead lap, the last of which is currently Christian Delgado in the number 13, running position number 22 as it stands. The heart of the field remains rather tight. Jim Thurston getting closer and closer now to Vincent Guecci, and here comes the number 71 of Doug Newbigging. And it looks like Thurston's damage starting to show those faults in the number 96. He's fading back more and more. Nathan Palawada might be up next on him as we take a ride on board here with the number 78. And getting a wonderful angle here which shows exactly what the problem is. Back-end damage for Jim Thurston is real and might actually be affecting the entire right side of the car. Thurston can't see it nor really feel it inside the cockpit, but definitely going to stagger him back. So now the 96 trying to work it out. He's going to start seeing those aerodynamic disadvantages come into play more and more as tire begins to wear. 20 laps in out of 100, and now Nathan Palawada, his teammate, makes it by for 8th. And Nathan getting up and ahead is going to see Vincent Guecci and Douglas Newbigging coming through. Doug coming up through the field, started just outside the top 5, and that's exactly where he remains. Vincent Guecci, more of the same, both of which in the same spot, relatively speaking, to where they started, but now on the up and up as drivers begin to struggle more so with their tire. And that's where Van Drugman comes in now, trying to take the race lead from the 87 of Mosteller. Drugman to the inside, Daniel Mosteller right up top. And it looks like this time through, the number 2 has the clear advantage. And so it's going to be Van Drugman to the point for the first time in his IORA Cup Series career. Number 2 up and ahead. Then you got Daniel Mosteller now battling River Page. And the rookie is up and ahead for the first time in his IORA career. What a way to get up there. And so now he'll be battling ahead of the rest of the pack. And it'll be up to River Page and company to work with one another here if they want a chance to catch up to Drugman, at least in the immediate future. Good start to the race here for the number 2, but it really doesn't guarantee much of anything. Question more so becomes, what's up next? Number 93 of Walker is going to go up high, and then you got River Page working down at the bottom. Multiple grooves coming into play, and we said that in 40 and 50 laps time, the high side would be more dominant, but you're already beginning to see those examples of drivers heading up there just to begin this stint here. 100 laps is not a lot of time, so if you want to go up there, you got to work the groove in, and you got to work it hard. Vinny Tigner side by side here with, looks like, Frank DeAngelis and Jacob Wilkerson, among others, and doing a pretty good job of hanging himself up high, even though it is still, at least for the time being, disadvantageous. But it doesn't look like it's stopping Vinny any longer. Instead, it just looks like he's got to work with it. It's not much a hindrance, but it is now more a personal choice. Doesn't mean there's an edge, but it does mean he can stay even. So for DeAngelis, not much else that can be done, as the number 28 now is going to work on the high side and get some more momentum at long last. Aiden Walker's going to fall behind River Page once again, but Daniel Mosteller now showing some signs of fatigue. Falls back behind the 29 of Trevor Huff, and so Trevor takes P4. Daniel Mosteller going to slot back into the 5th position. And we'll see if he can slide job his way back, but it's clear as day now. Daniel Mosteller facing some troubles for the first time tonight. And now we're just about a quarter of the way into this event, expecting a 2-stop strategy. Don't expect pit road to be a 1-stopper tonight, even though it is a 100-lap event. This track, not necessarily a tire gobbler, shall we say. It does burn them out, but fuel is still going to be the most important part. And with our 80% fuel restriction in this series, this is going to be a 2-stop race no matter how drivers else want to put it. So pit road might be busy, and as early as about 10 laps time, it might take up to 25 to get to that point. I think Van Drugman might be one of those who stays out a little bit longer, and those in the back decide to go for the undercut. Nevertheless, one stop will be practically impossible. And so now for the number 2 of Van Drugman, he'll have to consider what the next move is. 24 River Page and the 93 Aiden Walker remain just behind. And so as they round out the top 3 once again, they're only separate by a half second. And River Page is the only constant. He still hangs in there in 3rd. Meanwhile, as he finds himself up to 2nd, the drivers he started around, including Thurston, Mitchum, and Daniel Mosteller, are all fading back. River Page remains, and might be the last of which to still give a challenge to the new drivers ahead. And for Power Smash Infinity Speed Motorsport, working with River Page, Thurston, and Nathan Palawada alike, I think the question inside the garage might become, what is River Page doing right now that has him so far ahead of his teammates and all those that he usually races around? Shocking to see someone like Jim Thurston barely hanging on for a top 10, but at this rate, like Joe Armstrong going to take it up top and make another pass on him. Jacob Wilkerson more the same, and Vinny Tigner might be the next man to leave him in the dust. The 96 is struggling bad, and well, yes, that damage might be part of the equation. It really doesn't seem like that is the whole story here. Nevertheless, River Page has gotten away. Nathan Palawada has gotten by. Jim Thurston has been struggling and has found himself a little bit further back. Maybe in a few laps' time, when we go down to pit road, he'll have a better situation to work with. But as it stands, we're on this first stint. There's very little else you can do but hope for a caution, which I don't think this driver wants because he's already got damage and would have to maybe repair some more. But he'll fall back behind another Frank DeAngelis. Oh, Vincent Guecci going to go spinning. Number 88 of Vincent goes around, and the yellow flag, it looks like, will come out. Drivers pass by, and the 88 of Guecci goes sliding. Yellow flag flies. Vincent Guecci the cause. We're going to take a look back now and show you what caused it. The 88 of Vincent Guecci went sliding. Drivers got by. Nevertheless, safety yellow flag is going to have to be called. Armstrong into Guecci, and Tigner did not catch on, and so yellow flags down. Back end damage for the number 88 is the most severe of anything, and pit road's going to be busy for the first time tonight. 70 laps to go to be a one-stop race from here, and it looks like our first pit stops will come not under green, but instead under pacing and yellow flag conditions. Vincent gets back up to the rest of the field. Van Drugman is your leader, and he will take them all down to pit road as expected. Pit road exit's rather empty for now, but that is due to change. Meanwhile, at the head of the field, Van comes in with all company. 4 tires and fuel expected for almost every driver here, not expecting any major changes until maybe our final pit stops of the night. And now with more than 20 drivers making their way in together, it looks like Van going to be one of the ways and one of the drivers up and in front first. His strategy gets him ahead of Daniel Osteller, Trevor Huff, River Page, Douglas Newbigging, Aiden Walker, Jacob Wilkerson, Nathan Palawada, and Frank DeAngelis, the current top 10 after your first pit cycle comes and goes. Jim Thurston going to be down at pit road for an extended period of time as we predicted. It looks like that damage is substantial enough where he has to address it immediately. So now, 31 laps in, Akari King is the net race leader, the overall race leader, shall we say. He'll have to come down to pit road sooner than later, as Van Drugman, your new race leader, will take that back from Akari once again, and he'll go down to pit road, get himself some new rubber, and fresh service to go at horse racing with the rest of the pack in due time. Drugman drops low. Trevor Huff stays high. 2 rookies making their first and second career starts respectively. Now they're going to be alongside each other yet again. 32 laps in out of 100 here. That first pit cycle comes and goes, and it has that perfect stop in between. Surely not going to help a lot of these drivers in making advances, but a very safe and very solid estimate of when we had that first pit cycle coming as a result of the yellow flag. So we'll have some 70 laps remaining from this point onward. Not going to be a lot of time remaining, of course, when it comes to the race as it stands. It comes down to 2 30-lap stints, more or less anyway. Not a lot of time in between to spare, and we'll go back green with about 67 laps remaining at the very most. So pit road, we're going to expect to see it busy again in about 30-35 laps time. Maybe some drivers will try to stretch it here, but little incentive to with the time that is available to all those in the field. Green flag is going to fly once again in the hands of the number 2, and for the first time in his career, he will be up and in front, and alongside him, a rookie, an all-rookie front row, and I don't believe we have seen this all throughout the campaign. Maybe we've seen lappers do it before, but looks like Trevor Huff will concede and make sure we don't see it, at least for the time being. Huff goes low. Daniel Mosteller decides to take it high and will take the advantage and benefit of extra track position. Double file lined up 10 plus rows deep. Looking further back, only 2 retirees and Mike Mitchum and Yahir Rodriguez. It looks like for Mike Mitchum, not enough time for him to stick around and get that first caution. He'll decide to concede and leave prematurely. Meanwhile, Joseph Armstrong going to be 2 laps down and in pit road. Hunter Bogdan going to be there in 25th and 2 laps down himself. It looks like Cooper Glick is the last man 1 lap down or no longer. Cooper gets back on the lead lap. 25 drivers overall in lead lap category. Until now, it'll be 24 with Glick the last of which. iRacing official pace car dives low, and so will be once again the number 2 of Von Trugman, bringing us back to green. For the first time in his career, he is up and ahead at a restart, and Daniel Mosteller follows him with. It's going to be Drugman, Mosteller, then third place in Trevor Huff. 1, 2, 3, and working down the back straightaway now. Daniel Mosteller opts to go to the inside, cautions out. Very quick one at that. It'll be Akari King destroyed. The rookie, number 10. Another incident involved. This time, of course, Akari getting the yellow flag called for it. Figured out what happened here with Akari at the back of the field, 34 laps in. An incident is going to bring out the caution, and it looks like the exact same incident as what we saw in lap 1. This time, Cooper Glick hits him and punts him up the track, slams into Hunter Bogdan, and this, unfortunately, I think could have been avoided overall. Glick making contact with Akari, then Hunter Bogdan, really no place else to go, and the 86 Ford Mustang hits Akari King as such. Caution is out. And unfortunately, I think this one could have been avoided, but that's the way it comes down to. Cookie crumbles in the favor of none, and to the dismay of Akari King and those who got involved. Yellow flag is out once again. 35 laps in out of 100. It should go green at about lap 39. At the very most, we might see an extended caution, 1 extra lap to get us up to lap number 40, but for the time being, it'll be Von Drugman once again leading the way. Daniel Mosteller now has the advantage of choice, whether or not he wants to go up high once again, or if he wants to follow the number 2 of Von Drugman. That is all up to his discretion. Maybe he would like to, of course, go with, maybe he would not. It's not necessarily the biggest of choices so early, and he's got a lot of track position to fall back on, but Demos looked to do pretty good working the high groove. I don't think he will be inclined to change that any which way unless something major shifts, which I don't think there's going to be much to see changing under yellow. The track is getting worn in a little bit better, but the track conditions have, in all honesty, changed for the better, ever so slightly. Mildly less humid. Track temperature is going to be 85 even still, but the ambient temperature goes down to 81 degrees. Track conditions won't be much to worry about. It's all about interacting with the drivers. One lap to green this time by. Shoes rule coming into effect once again. And we'll see now where Drugman opts to go. High side or low at his discretion. It looks like this time it's going to be number 2 looking down low. Is that official? It looks like not yet. We'll figure out down the back straights. What additional lap going to be put on? We go back green at lap 39 as a result of this minor extension, getting everyone back into the swing of things. Lap number 40 or so going to be the next big lap to reach, and so that's really going to leave us with 2 30-lap stints from here, which go by in a flash. Mind you, we saw a total of 30 laps taken under, of course, our practice and qualifying consecutively back to back to back, and that went by in rapid fire timing. So now this race is going to be really one of those sprints that comes down to basic strategy and the raw speed of the driver. Von Drugman looks like right now he has that speed, but we don't quite know what he can do when it comes to managing strategy. It won't be basic, of course, for those who don't know green flag strategy, but if you've been here before, it is pretty simple to follow along with the leader. Hard when you are the leader and you have to make the right choice, but now Drugman, with that responsibility, he'll have to own it, and we'll see what he can do with it. Drugman is officially down to the bottom, and once again, Daniel Mosteller right up top. Aiden Walker, in addition, Trevor Huff going to be good company as the top five is going to be rather familiar this time, looking for another green flag restart. Second of which tonight, and an Daniel Mosteller machine is up top once more. Let's see what the rookie can do at number 2. Good opportunity for him to get things going once again and go for what could be his first career victory. If not, Mike Mitchum. I think it's going to be this time around, the number 2, maybe looking to give us something good. See what he's got, as Trevor Huff is also there with the number 29. Some of the SRL drivers on Sunday nights making their way over to Thursday racing, and so far they've done well for both themselves. Let's see what they can do together here on this restart down low. Former champion up top, brand new driver on the bottom for restart number 2 on the day here, lap number 39. iRacing official pace car sets low, goes in, and it's time for, once again, that number 2, a Drugman, to bring us back to green. Green flag racing once more. The number 2 holds the advantage with Daniel Mosteller just behind. And so now it's going to be Drugman getting the advantage by just about a car length. Further on back, the Hornet's Nest comes into play. You'll see the number 71 of Douglas Newbigging here with Jacob Wilkerson side by side. And so now, good to see that green flag racing coming back into play. Number 71 is going to be low. Jacob Wilkerson a little bit more so under the middle groove, although he's trying to keep it low. Nathan Palawada unashamedly right up top. And as such, he's going to take it up to the high side where no other will and no other could. Number 78 of Palawada now trying to break through new grounds and get up to River Page and Aiden Walker, who are battling amongst each other side by side once again. Let's see what else can be done for the driver of the number 24. River Page here, toe-to-toe, and with them it's going to be Aiden Walker. Now Walker blocks up top. Jacob Wilkerson still going to occupy the battle here with Nathan Palawada. Aiden Walker blocking, going to make it even tighter here. And so, side by side, it's getting tricky up and in front again. Von Drugman's got a 1/10 of a second lead over Daniel Mosteller. Not all too much, but at the same time, it's enough to hang on for the race lead time and again. Little gains haven't been seen though, and instead, the 87 might be making those minor moves up and ahead. 87 here. Fanta Red looking for what could be another victory at Homestead. He's gotten himself 3 major victories, or shall we say 2 beforehand. This would be his 3rd, and Daniel Mosteller knows what it takes. Now the question is, can he execute once more? Completely different environment than seasons 1 and 2. Much stronger competition, much more competition. And now, as he puts himself right behind the 2 of Drugman again, the question becomes, can he harken it back to old times to take the race lead? Not yet. Meanwhile, Trevor Huff is in 3rd and River Page is in 4th. Look a little bit further behind. You also see Henry Kaloff here with Aaron Schugel, Corey Lyles, and Vincent Guecci. Looks like Guecci getting away for that earlier incident. And while it looks like he's going to be back on the track position has not come back to him, at least so far. Will be great to see him return up and in front, but it looks like right now for Vinny, he'll have to work his way back up without any additional assistance. Guecci, a former IORA Cup Series winner. It's been a long time since, however, he's looking to do it again, and we're waiting to see whether or not he will. The number 88 team has been on the podium many a time before. He had his best success in the early days of the IORA Cup Series, and you might remember one finish at Lanier, which was a photo finish in Season 2. Short track racing came down to the final quarter quarter of a mile between he and Jerry Rodriguez, and Rodriguez came through just barely as the winner. For the longest time, that was the closest Vinny had ever gotten to victory lane. It took him more than a season from that point to get back to the checkered flag. However, now, looks like he's mired back in some thick competition, and without that track position to fall back on, I really don't know what else he can do. Drugman and Daniel Mosteller, positions 1 and 2 even still, and it looks like right now running side by side is not the move. Single file is the more popular formation all throughout the track, and there's Frank DeAngelis once again, another driver making his first start of the season in his 3rd season of competition. Hasn't quite been able to do much else. He's gotten himself a little bit of time on the circuit before, but overall, DeAngelis hasn't made any two major strides. Now, with more than 50 laps ahead of him, I'm sure he can, and has adapted well enough to put himself in position to keep on gaining. But to start, he's been solid, little else though. Now, side by side ahead of him, going to be Jacob Wilkerson and Nathan Palawada. And looking further back, you got Aiden Walker, who's going to take it from a rear view perspective. Take a look off the tail end of the 93, and you'll see the distraction the 78 and 43 pose to each other. Nathan Palawada hanging tight behind the back end of the number 93. Aiden Walker, he is just ahead now, Palawada, and it looks like no longer side by side. The 78 is doing something right once again, and I think he's on the verge of cracking the code to figure out what it's like to be a top 5 driver consistently. And Palawada, I think, is a driver that we've said has potential before, and under the leadership of Power Smash Infinity Speed Motorsport, has the opportunity to truly flourish. Something that has not yet necessarily occurred in his racing career, but he definitely shows the potential to go out there and do what's best for the team. Try to win and give those good performances back and forth consistently. He's up now into 6th place, and overall tonight, that's one of the highest spots he's running, as high as 5th beforehand, started in 8th, and has only fallen down as low as 11th. Now he's cemented himself as a top 10 driver. Question becomes, what else does he have with them after that point? Can he make himself a consistent top 5 competitor and go out there and fight for the championship in the deep rounds? Or will he be sentenced once again to maybe be one of those lower level playoff drivers who gets away with some better finishes time and again? I think Palawada has potential to be more than what we've seen. It all comes down to how he approaches the next coming races, as it looks like Trevor Huff with some internet issues, and he still looks to be fine, but something to keep out for if his name falls off the leaderboard. Trevor Huff going to flicker back and forth once or twice, but he's back in good shape again. Shouldn't be much a concern. Van Drugman leads the way, 50 laps in out of 100, and if he comes across the line here and now, he'll lead at the halfway point with 51 laps in and 50 laps to go. Reminder for all those watching live on FTN tonight, if you're tuned in for the IORA Cup Series and you like the Xfinity Series action you're watching, there's more of it, and it'll happen at 9:30 p.m. Eastern tonight, live on FTN. As the Highline Racing League goes racing for its 10th event of the campaign, getting oh so close to the final races of the championship chase there. Better stay tuned live on FTN as Highlines Racing League, well, they go for it once again. 18th season in competition, and it has been thick competition all throughout this season with more than 30 drivers in almost every race. Talladega, a thriller. Dylan Poteet got the win, and we'd love to see you there. So if you want to keep up to date with all FTN news, click like on the stream, subscribe to the channel, and scan the QR code on your screen right now to stay up to date with the FTN community and find out exactly what's going on every day, Monday through Sunday, every day in between, as we broadcast action almost every day of the week, not only in the virtual motorsports scene, but HCBB action is going to return very soon. Expect more baseball coverage live on FTN at the same time. So, 52 laps in out of 100, it'll be Van Drugman and Daniel Mosteller first and second. You got Trevor Huff in third and fourth place in River Page, with Aiden Walker fifth and Jacob Wilkerson in P6. Seventh place is Nathan Palawada. Caution's out. Let's take a look at what happened here. Looks like Michael Deitch going to get away, but Jason Semedo going to get slowed down, and he'll be one of those involved. Take a look back here. So taking a look back, yellow flag, number 3 on the night at the halfway marker. Looks like Jason Semedo among those who was involved, and the number 12 goes slipping and sliding. As we go through at the ultra-wide angle that Jason here is going to be involved with, the number 12 slows down as Jim Thurston is destroyed, as is Corey Lyles. Lyles tags the 12. I think Jim Thurston, his day might be done with this one. Massive damage for the number 96. Take a look back from the perspective here of Thurston, and we'll focus more on what happened with the 96 team. Additionally, Corey Lyles involved in this one. It looks like both of which get caught up big. Yellow flag is out once again, and Thurston decides to go high, hooks into Lyles. They both come up the track. Thurston shot up into the wall, and the yellow flag is out. Paul Darish drifts through. Jason Semedo involved. 3 drivers primarily involved in this one. Those 2 the cause, Thurston and Lyles. The caution's out for the 3rd time tonight as a result. Pit road is going to be very busy now, and you can see drivers racing off. It looks like Drugman maybe gets ahead of Mosteller. That he does. It'll be Drugman and then Demos with P3 after. River Page and Trevor Huff going to be net P5. Then you got Wilkerson, Walker, Palawada, and Henry Kaloff rounding out the field off pit road. Corey Lyles, Frank DeAngelis, the only 2 drivers who decide to stay out 54 laps in. Now it's very likely and almost expected that they will come down to pit road and give the drivers a new rubber the advantage up and in front. Lyles goes in, and it looks like the same cannot be said of Frank DeAngelis, who decided to occupy the track a little while longer. Nevertheless, you're watching 55 laps in out of 100, and we'd like to thank iRacing Motorsport Simulations for its continued support live on FTN. If you want to start your sim racing career, the best place to do so is iRacing.com, the world's leading virtual motorsports simulator with not just NASCAR stock car racing action, but additionally open wheel racing, dirt racing, road course, and oval action all throughout the world, the United States, and beyond. If you'd like to race it, iRacing has it. So visit iRacing.com for additional information about who you can register and start your sim racing career, and we'll return right after the following messages, and we'll be back before the green flag flies. You're watching the Coastal Florida 150 on FTN. We'll return after this.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
44 laps remaining where you go back green. Welcome back to coverage of the IORA Cup Series here in the Homestead-Miami Speedway. Frank DeAngelis and Van Drugman find themselves first and second here. Looks like DeAngelis and Old Rubbers decided to stay out despite the significant risk of doing so. We'll see whether or not this move pays off for anyone here. DeAngelis does not stand to gain much because on that much of older rubber, he'll be significantly slower second after second. Now we'll see how far he falls down, as Jacob Wilkerson's primary objective will most likely be to get out of his way as fast as he can. Hoping not to see some tire spinning here, because that could catch the entire field in an incident. But that remains to be seen, and we'll see how Frank DeAngelis handles it. It looks like moderately well, actually getting the jump on Drugman and new race leader Frank DeAngelis into turns 1 and 2. Out of turns 1 and 2, race leaders once again Von Drugman, and so now Frank DeAngelis will most likely experience a very quick passing down from the top of the board to the top 5, to the top 10, to the top 15, to the top 20, and so on and so forth. This is tricky because you got to deal with a guy who was effectively a moving roadblock. Daniel Mosteller hung up in the wall. Big bad news for the 87, and he will be the first to fall big as he's now down into 18th. Wow, what a way to change things for Daniel Mosteller. Right side damage and hooked up the track, and it looks like the confusion surrounding the number 69 going to cause Daniel Mosteller to get up in the wall, and so now you'll see River Page, Jacob Wilkerson, Aiden Walker, and company then on back getting together again. Already, Frank DeAngelis is going to be down to 8th place, and once again, Von Drugman is your race leader. It looks like tonight that number 2 cannot be stopped while DeAngelis is falling out of favor, and it looks like now River Page is up next to battle. Nobody's quite got the pace the number 2's had all throughout this event. Question really is going to become, maybe there's a chance to get up here to Von and maybe try to give him a chance to move out the way. River Page is going to be the next driver to ask that question, but right now it really is all maybes. It's all speculation. Can it be done? Should it be done? Will it be done? I think right now, yes, it could be. And if it is going to happen, it's got to happen soon. 5 laps to go and a 42-lap remaining stint from here. It's going to be very close with respect to if anyone can go the full distance. Tire saving and fuel saving is the only hope drivers will have to realistically make it to the end on this stint. Not going to be easy. It is, however, mathematically possible. 46 laps is at the tail end of the entire window, however, so this is going to be a very tricky thing to work out for any driver. Question remains, of course, how is Von Drugman going to handle it? First-time driver in this league, and we're still not well aware of his perspective as a driver who has only just came in. River Page is also coming too. He finds himself now just about a 10th and a half behind, and with them, most drivers are still occupying the bottom. High side has been used sparingly and actually saw its best use about 30 laps to go. But once again, drivers occupy the bottom, as I think right now they're trying to save some fuel, cut some distance. They don't want to go the extra distance around the high side, knowing every 10th of a mile, every 100th of a mile might make a significant alteration on whether or not a driver can or cannot make it. So now Henry Kaloff dives lower on Jacob Wilkerson. Wilkerson with some solid defense doesn't even have to cut back in. He'll just drive back in the line and leave the 63 right behind him. They'll remain single file. Then, of course, you got that Braxton Whitaker 51 to look back onto the tail end. Braxton is fighting right now with 22 of Joe Armstrong, and here is Daniel Mosteller trying to put himself back in the game. And about the worst spot he's been in all night long. As low as 18th, and he's made up 2 spots already on this rebound run, but not much of rebound so far. He's very far behind where he'd like to be, and the question becomes, can he make up anything more to even settle for a top 10? Demos has not shown any signs of fault so far this season. In all honesty, the question has become whether or not he's going to throw out that next dominant season, be the next Sean Conklin. But it looks like this is the first sign of humanity in this run. Really nothing all too rather impressive. And as it stands, the 87, I think he's just going to try to go out there and get some more positions gained, but he is pushed back. And tonight might be one of those drop weeks, shall we say, from him on the schedule. Not much else can be gained from it here, and little will be lost given that he already has 2 wins and multiple podiums to boot, but it's just not a good race to look back on, and he would love to put this one in the books already, and then we'll go international racing, the regular season coming to a close at the end of October, and let's talk about what is due to come from this point on. Overall, the schedule this season on the IORA Cup Series does look different, and for good reason. There's a lot going on that's allowed us to make big changes. You've seen mostly familiar tracks to this point. However, after this week, you're going to see a driver, of course, an entire field that has never seen the track that we're going to up next. It's going to be international racing at the Oschersleben. It's going to be a road course race once again, and an international Grand Prix for 40 laps. the likes of which has not been seen in seasons. You might remember the IORA World Tour, where in Season 3, we went to venues such as Monza and the Red Bull Ring. That's the last time we really experimented with a schedule like that, and that's exactly what's in the cards now for the field. And then we'll have Talladega, the regular season finale, in 2 weeks' time. The Usher Sleben is going to be race number 9. Talladega is the 10th and final race of the regular season, and then we go to your playoff action. Is side by side now. River Page has the advantage up top. This is for the race lead. River is going to be on that middle groove, and it looks like this time around, using a higher side, he will get the momentum and make the pass. This could be the pass for the victory here as Van Drugman lets the number 24 through. Is this a strategy call to let River wear his stuff out, or does Drugman not yet have it in him, or not any longer have it in him? Number 24 didn't have to wait all too long to get up here in this run to get to the race lead. Question becomes, though, did he give it enough time, give it enough thought? There's still 34 laps to go, and this run has only lasted, give or take, 13 laps. So then from there, you've got 34 laps remaining, and if it even took 13 laps for Drugman to get back, he'd have to hang on for 20-plus laps here if he did the exact same thing. Really don't think he's going to do all too much else for the time being, but Drugman's going to lie back and wait to see what the right move is. Side by side, Jason Cimento going to be here, and Jason, although getting involved in that previous caution, looks like he's back up and in front. Good to see for Jason right now is that the driver, the number 12, has gotten away from that incident and continued to move forth and move on. As it stands for the driver of the number 12, he's doing a pretty good job just hanging tough and keeping himself inside the top 10 despite the setbacks. Jason Cimento, a driver who definitely has some potential in his own right. Not a lot that we've seen of him so far, but when he gets up inside the top 10, very challenging to sort of put him out of which. I think that's something that we're going to see more so in the future than this season and perhaps in the seasons beyond. Cimento starting to show himself as a regular and a consistent contender, and the best is due to come for a driver in his very first full-time effort. Henry Kaloff is coming forth as well, and with them will be Vinny Tigner. Vinny has remained a constant silent top 10 tonight, although it looks like Alexander Balderas might be the next man to take that from him. Balderas is now up to the highest spot he's been in all throughout. He started in 20th and was as low as 21st. He's gotten up now to his high of P11, and maybe the top 10 is what's due to come. Question becomes, of course, whether or not the driver of the number 28 can get there. And it looks like now with Vinny Tigner trying to make his move around Henry Kaloff, he will be avoiding Alexander Balderas like the plague to try to get away and stay tough inside the single digits. 31 laps to go. Up and ahead, meanwhile, you'll see Jason Cimento side by side with Jacob Wilkerson as well. River Page now holds a half-second lead over Van Drugman, and so the battles beyond look to be the most exciting of which. And Cimento is moving. This will get him up inside the top 5 if he can seal the deal and make the pass. Wilkerson opts to remain high. Jason Cimento going to be a little bit more aggressive, working low. And now Nathan Palawada has a follower up on the top. All of a sudden, seeing the driver of the number 43 going with Palawada, you might see the high groove become a little bit more popular. To 1 and 2, not so much. 29 laps to go. Nathan Palawada going to be far separated from the leading group. All the while, Vinny Tigner heads down to the bottom. Vincent Guecci stays high, and now it's going to be a side-by-side fight between the 28 and 88. Vinny Tigner looking strong in this run and might be able to make some further gains to get beyond the number 43 of Jacob Wilkerson. Looking at the stat sheet for the number 28 tonight, this is the best that Vinny's done all night long. Getting up to 7th place, the highest spot he's occupied. It looks like now he's coming to his own. He started in 13th and was as low as 17th, and we really didn't mention Vinny all throughout the opening stretch of the race. Well, it looks like that opening stretch is behind us and beyond us, and instead, the 28 is really coming to his best stride when it matters the most. Vinny Tigner here, the Saturday Night Thunder owner, and of course, a full-time driver in that series. He knows what it's like to manage these Xfinity cars alongside a full-time tenure in the Integrity Ignite series. We see him on FTM 3 times a week, Monday Sunday, Saturday usually, and of course now on Thursdays. And he's become one of the most versatile drivers in this network, going for almost every opportunity he gets to race, and particularly strong with these Xfinity cars, as he's proven again tonight. And Vinny coming on strong is going to head down low on Jacob Wilkerson, two-time S&T winner, facing off against the league owner. And now the 43 goes topside, and Vinny Signer continues his charge, and his pilgrimage on the bottom gets him closer and closer again. Alexander Balderas has made it inside the top 10, and he's sliding! Balderas saves it, but he'll lose big position. What a save for the 95. Alexander Balderas stays alive with 26 laps to go. And while a massive loss, the biggest win of all is that we keep it under green, and that's thanks in large part, almost entirely, to Alexander Balderas and his wonderful save. Take a look inside the cockpit on an immediate replay. Letting the car do the work, Alexander Balderas, a wonderful save. Not something he's going to be happy about, no doubt, but he's going to keep himself out of major harm by keeping this race under green, and now gets back into the fight as we take a look live once more. 25 laps to go. Balderas is back with Henry Kowloff. It's a fight for P12 as it stands. One driver in the wall further on back, that looks to be Aaron Schugel here. Nothing all too crazy, nothing too major. And then you got a little bit further behind, triple-digit threat, the 006 of Jaquay Carter. And it looks like right now for the discount tire Toyota Supra, well, solid race and a calm race. And now coming up on the injured Jim Thurston. As clear as day, Thurston does not have it in him tonight. He's also going to have to take the unfortunate loss on this race, much like Daniel Mosteller has struggled. Thurston has done so doubly so. He's in 21st and 1 lap down. Former race leader, and of course the man who grabbed the pole, has been on a downward spiral ever since, involved in that lap 1 incident with Mike Mitchum, and unfortunately for him, that really set the tone for how this race was due to go. And while it looks like he's got a little bit of time maybe to recover, that time is running out, especially quick. River Page right now going to lead the way with 23 laps remaining, and as we come across the line, it'll be 22 laps left. River right now, the former champ, the defending champ, lead to the site of his championship victory. About 22 laps to go. We're going to crank it up thanks to our friends at TrackCams22.com. Visit TrackCams for Gourmets for the best iRacing broadcast cameras on the market, and check out Facebook.com/TrackCams for additional information. Now with 22 laps to go, and courtesy of our friends at TrackCams22.com, let's crank it up from the Homestead-Miami Speedway. The battle for the race lead is on now with 16 laps to go, and as we mentioned, maybe Van Drugman was saving some stuff to get back to River Page in the tail end of this event, and so he has. Now, coming down to what will be just under 15 laps to go, the gap has been halved, and it might even become less so in the next coming laps. 17/100ths of a second, that's what remains, and so now the number 2 machine of Drugman is right there. Toe-to-toe, nose-to-tail, not yet, but it's clear that Drugman is making the gains, and River Page now is the one who is losing time more than anything else. Let's see what happens for the number 2 henceforth. He's got himself in the perfect position for the driver, the number 24 of River Page. Aiden Walker, the 93, is then and there in third. 15 laps to go. Cooper Glick going to be up top, and he's going to get out of the way and choose not to interfere with all those in the lead battle. Aiden Walker, too, is in this one as well. That's someone we have not mentioned just yet. The 93 is going to put himself in the perfect spot maybe to become the next driver involved in the picture. 87 laps in out of 100, and while not there just yet, I think he's got himself now a chance to get in the mix and fight alongside the number 2 and the number 24. Side by side, they're not there yet, but one battle is. Joe Armstrong further on back with Corey Lyles. They've been tight for the longest time, and it looks like now Armstrong is being pushed back. Corey Lyles has gotten away. Vinny Tigner going to be advantageous over Jacob Wilkerson. You can see Jacob is now down into 11th, and Vinny Tigner has been able to keep himself up and away. He is here in 7th. Doug Newbinging is going to be in 6th. Jason Semedo going to be P5, and Nathan Palawada is going to be 4th. And right now for P4, Palawada matching his career best finish, and it'll be once again just out of the winning conversation for Nathan Palawada, who has been oh so good as of late and is oh so close to breaking into the realm of greatness. That's still a question to be answered, though, for Palawada, and whether or not he'll answer it today or next week. Week after that, still the big question of all. Now Cooper Glick fading back further. Aiden Walker going to be there in third. Top 2 remains Van Drugman and River Page. Currently, it's going to be River Page gaining again 0.3 of a second now, and as we look at the last 4 laps, the interval has been slightly expanding overall. 0.12 of a second, 85 laps in, to 16/100ths of a second, 88 laps in. Minor fluctuations overall, but for Drugman, the question becomes, maybe he waited a little too long to get back up to River here. He's had a wonderful second career start, the likes of which we have not seen matched by anyone besides Mike Mitchum in several seasons, and the rise of these very quick rookies has been something to behold, but once again, the veteran looks to have the advantage, and so Braxton Whitaker, they're both going to pass by. Whitaker stays up in the wall, does not interfere once again. River Page can't seem to catch a break just yet, but he does have the clean air, and that's the biggest advantage of all here as we come across the line to make it 10 final laps. 10 laps to go here in Homestead, and 90 laps through, still going to be the number 24 up and on top. Take a look further back. Vinny Tigner coming up on Jason Semedo. Both drivers have been able to put in quiet but solid days, and now Jason Semedo might see for the first time in 50 laps a driver trying to pass him here, not vice versa. We'll see how he handles it, as meanwhile up at the front of the field, the gap is within 1/10 of a second again. Now Drugman is as close as they come, and River Page, he has to look back. Number 24 machine still going to have the just barely full clear edge out of turn 4. Not going to be enough to hang on long term, especially if now that number 2 has the edge on the pace lap after lap. That time by was a 35.082 for River Page and a 187 for Drugman. However, he's still making gains, notably down the back straightaway here, in which he can lunge into turns 1 and 2 and really give River Page a scare. Not through 3 and 4 just yet. As you can see, River going to decide to take it to the bottom and work the apex off a little better, but it'll snap loose, and it's not going to help out as Elliott gets a little bit closer. Rather, Van Drugman does. Meanwhile, further back, the lappers battle each other, and Christian Delgado, Braxton Whitaker, and Jim Thurston all amongst each other. They should not involve themselves in this battle, but River Page knows this. Doesn't matter if there's one driver around or if there's 10, Drugman is coming, and now he's getting significantly closer. 7 to go, and much like how Chase Schaefer was able to come through for 2 consecutive wins, we might see a final pass that comes through in a green-white checkered scenario, if of course we get forced there. So far, it looks like the leaders have gotten away and we've gone under green, but the final 5 laps have made the moves, the most important moves in the last 3 races consecutively. That's something that might not happen last week. It's almost a definite Talladega, but now it looks like Homestead again is going to come down to a to-the-wire finish. Last season, River Page came away with a championship victory just by virtue of getting the job done in Homestead in the final round and the final race. Drugman has no such experience in this league, comes in with a fresh, clean slate, and this victory for him would be his first and only start and his first and only win, and he'd love to make it a 100% winning rate as Mike Mitchum did in his first career start. Now, what can Page do as he finds himself still just ahead with 6 laps to go? That remains the question, and it is yet to be answered. Strategy right now going to be thrown out the window. These drivers should be able to make it. 6 laps to go in a 41-lap stint. We are not seeing any panic pit stops just yet. Joe Armstrong going to let another go by, and Corey Lyles. However, it looks like now the number 22 is going to fight back, and Lyles might be saving a little bit more conservatively as Armstrong is starting to pick up spots once again. Some drivers might have to panic here, but those leaders better have planned it out as perfect as it comes. They are leading by more than a second over Aiden Walker, and then from there, more than 5 seconds over Doug Newbigging. So Walker will be the only additional factor to deal with, and they've got a clean track otherwise and ever since that point. River Page 2/10 up, still just behind Van Drugman. The checkered flag is going to become, of course, the big end goal that is now just ahead. 4 miles, not yet, but 4 laps. That's what remains. It's overall going to come down to 6 final miles from the Homestead-Miami Speedway, and River Page is going to see the checkered flag sooner or later, as does the number 2 here of Van Drugman. Checkered flag just ahead, and we're looking to see if we get there without a green-white checkered finish this week. Last 2 weeks, Chase Schaefer has barely been able to make it through tooth and nail for 2 consecutive wins. Chase Schaefer did not start today, and instead, we're going to see another winner at long last, and it looks like the defending champ might be the favorite now, but watch out for Drugman. He's right there and within a 1/10 of a second of making the move. 3 laps to go. Top 2 are still out and ahead. Nobody else in their world, and still just about 18 drivers on the lead lap. Next to be put 1 lap down is Christian Delgado, a driver who will not become involved as he is still 12 seconds ahead of the drivers you're looking at here. Now, it'll be 2 laps to go. Popsicle sticks, 3 final miles. Drugman is still watching on, hasn't quite gotten the move done. River Page has not had to worry just yet. No aggressive maneuvers placed by the number 2. And now we'll figure out with 8 more turns whether or not the rookie can come away with his own first win in his very first start, or if the defending champ brings the Homestead magic back for the 2nd straight race at the venue. The sun on the Miami night has set. Drivers have gone for now more than 98 laps, and they're coming toward the 99th conclusion and the final due to begin. 100 laps of racing here from Homestead. 2 drivers separated by a 1/10 and a half to settle the deal. 1 lap to go here in Homestead. River Page is still advantageous, and Van Drugman is right behind. 16/100ths of a second. Couldn't quite get it through turns 1 and 2. All the while, River Page is just ahead. Final lap at a turn 2. River Page is still advantageous. It's going to take a deep send from the number 2 here to win this race. Going through turn 3 and 4. Drugman going to send it nice and easy. Doesn't go for the aggressive route and will play right behind. The 24 of River Page won a championship here to kick off the summer. He comes back 4 months later, wins the race again. River Page wins for the Homestead-Miami Speedway. Checkered flag is out in the Coastal Florida 150. Page wins once more. Checkered flag for River. 2nd place for the brand new driver, Van Drugman. Aiden Walker, P3. Most attended race of the year. 3 cautions. And an overall fantastic final stint to finish it off. River Page wins once more and gets the job done among the likes of many top competitors. One of our most stacked fields of the year, no doubt. And it's going to be the number 24 back on top. With them, it's going to be Von Drugman in second and Aiden Walker in third, Doug Newbigging in fourth, and then Nathan Palawada fifth. Vinny Tigner finishes sixth. And seventh place is Jason Cemento with Corey Lyles 8th, Vincent Guecci 9th, Joseph Armstrong in P10, and the 11th place immediately thereafter goes to Alexander Balderas. Jacob Wilkerson finishes 12th with 13th in Jacque Carter, and Henry Kaldoff is 14th with 15th place Aaron Schugel. Michael Deitch is 16th. Daniel Mosteller, P17. Christian Delgado, 18th. The final man on the lead lap with Frank DeAngelis and Hunter Bogdan concluding the top 20. Jimmy Thurston, Cooper Glick, Braxton Whitaker final finishes, and then Trevor Huff, Connor Mirabelli, Akari King, Yahir Rodriguez, Mike Mitchum, Chase Schaefer, and Andres Varas finish out the 30 drivers who registered to go racing tonight. And now to burn it down, River Page is number 24. And coming up with them, Alexander Balderas, it looks like we might just see a double burnout with the two together. "39 laps led of 100 horse tonight. Most laps led, River Page's accolade once again. Looks like River won't get much of a double burnout, but the number 24 does get planted at the start-finish line. Checkered flag is his. River Page wins in Homestead. Let's talk to the man who got the job done and won here from Miami. Checkered flag for River Page. And we'll speak to all your top three, but of course we're going to start with your race winner, River Page. Checkered flag comes out for him once again, and at the track where he won a championship before, it's not much a surprise that he had speed just a few months after he gets his Season 5 championship. But to win tonight, you had to fend off some of the best in the business and a final 50-lap battle that went down to the wire. River Page, you're the man who gets it done, winning once more from Miami. How do you feel?
I feel great. That was one of the most fun races I think I've ever had on iRacing. I really had to work for that. My wrists are hurting. I knew Van was gonna put up a good fight, but that was stressful.
And it was a real good battle between the both of you there. And I think we're going to start with the end. Those final 50 laps back and forth, no interruptions, and just you two alone on the track. So how was it for you to make the pass and then defend Drugman, who seemed to have just about the exact same speed as you did?
Yeah, well, I knew he'd probably have the long run pace, especially after I was trying to see what his tire wear was like after that first run. He was gatekeeping it from me. I feel like he knew something and I didn't. So I knew it was going to be important to get in front of him, and right there on that, I don't know when I got around him, maybe lap 70, he was going really easy into the corners. He might have been saving fuel. That's why I didn't do an extra burnout, because I ran out of gas. But I knew he was going to go in early, or going easy into one and into three. So I just tried to get up real close, and then I knew I could shoot it around his outside, and that's basically how you were having to pass here, unless you get a good run and get to someone's inside. But I knew I could defend him better than I could get around him late in the race. So I got around him and I put in some really good laps. And right at the end, it wasn't really quite the end, maybe more like lap 80. He was trying to run the top and get back by me, and every time he got to me, I would just make him go to the inside, and then I could just pinch him through the corner, and I would always get the spot back. So I feel like that was the way to win there, was just to defend, and I did exactly what I needed to do. But then that was a really good race. It was super fun.
And a wonderful race for you, of course, the battle. In large part, we saw green flag racing. The question, of course, becomes, and I'd have to ask you this, nighttime completely through the opening portion and, of course, the end. We saw the sun in practice and qualifying. Was there any big difference racing under the stadium lights rather than the sun that we saw earlier in practice?
I feel like it was faster, but there really wasn't as big a difference as I thought. If anything, it got looser, which I didn't really expect. I tried to game plan for that a little bit. I tried to drive it a little differently as the track got colder, but it was really the same stuff. I was able to run that middle lane and get on the seam, and I still had enough grip to get off of the corner basically flat out every lap. So we had a little more grip there, and I think that definitely helped. But yeah, just the day and night was fun. I was worried it was going to drive bad, like Charlotte last season and all the night races that we've had bad experiences with. But it drove really good. It was absolutely dialed the whole time. The car felt really nice.
And it looks like everything working out well at a very familiar track, but I'm sure you know as well as anyone does, we are going international racing next week to a track we've never been to before. Welcome to the Oschersleben for a 40-lap Grand Prix. How do you feel about heading out Europe once again? We're going to go overseas racing for the first time in, I believe, 3 seasons.
Yeah, that track is one of my favorites. I'm excited to see how it goes. I think it's going to be some sort of Halloween theme, maybe. I'm not sure if that's Dago or this, but it should be a lot of fun. I just hope I can keep my good streak of finishes going after the season started the way it did. So, yeah, I'm firstly very excited for that race. Hope we get a big driver count. You know, we had 30 people today. It was good to see that we had a lot of people show out, and we had like 20, 24, 25 people finish the race, which is fun, and a couple people they couldn't make it. So it's good to see. I think the next race is going to be fun, and then we get Talladega. So I think we're on a good little stretch here, and I'm excited for it. I think we can do pretty well.
And a good finish to get the job done just 2 weeks away from the end of our regular season. River Page, a winner again. Any final shout-outs you'd like to give?
Yeah, just shout out to Haggard and Flopper Racing, and you know, everyone else on my sponsors. Shout out to you for always doing a good job on the broadcast, and Throttle and Monster Designs, and Mason for doing a good job as always. It was really enjoyable race. I had a good time.
Big win, River Page getting the victory at the site of your championship win earlier this year. Checkered flag out for the 24 team. Thank you again for your time.
Thank you.
River Page on the way. Let's speak next to the driver of the number 2, Van Drugman, who for the first time in his career steps on the podium in only his second race and looked to be maybe one of those race-winning favorites. In due time, we might see a little bit more. But tonight, coming after the back of a top 10 finish, which was pretty silent and subdued, you were clearly one of the best drivers today, full stop. And it showed from start to finish. 40 laps led to River Page's 39 and a second place finish. Van, how you feel?
Damn. Like, I don't, like, I might not be able to say that, but dang. Like, the 40 lap sled's cool. Feeling like the fastest car, but dude, the win being right there, right in front of you, that sucks. That really sucks. But, I mean, he played the strategy right. I mean, he got ahead of me and then realized, like, hey, as long as I don't, as long as I hit my marks, he can't get past me. And I couldn't. Like, I tried to get the top rolling. It just didn't come in. So, where he had this car planted, it was perfect. It was perfect. Like, right on that seam. He didn't make a mistake wrong. So, I mean, that was a more impressive race from him than me. But, I mean, you didn't know how the track was going to be. So, you always assume, like, save your tires more. But then when you get down late in the race and then it's only one lane, you can't get past them. So, that's just how the cookie crumbles, I guess. But it's solid. I mean, I really wanted to win, but second race here, it's a fourth and second. It's pretty good. I'll take definitely these 2 results, but a win's coming soon.
And when you mention, of course, how close you'd be getting to that victory, I want to talk to you about that final battle. And we wanted to, of course, look back on how it was when River Page first and foremost passed you. You're trying to set something up for a late race pass to save your equipment, or was there any plan in mind at all?
I mean, the plan was let him cook his stuff because, you know, thinking when the tires wear, you're going to have options around the track. But then, like, the bottom rubbered in a lot, so we kind of all had to move up. And then the top just didn't come in. Like, I'd go to the top and I actually lose ground then rather than riding behind him. And you kind of don't want to be in no man's land in the middle with no seam. So, I mean, it was just kind of, there was really nowhere to run besides the first seam. So it was just like, well, I thought I played it right, but then apparently I didn't because I don't know, man. It's a complicated thing. It's kind of a strategy call. I made the wrong one, of course, but you know, It was close. It was close.
And a very close call for what could have been win number 1, but you're getting even closer. Up next, road course racing as we go to the Oschersleben for some international affair. And now, race number 3 of your career coming up next. You're getting even better and better. How do you feel about maybe your chances getting a victory out of the United States up next?
Oh, I feel pretty dang good. I love me some road racing, so I'm excited. So let's roll. Can't wait.
That being said, we're ready to roll out of the country after a second place finish for the number 2 team. Vaughn, if you have any final shout-outs or messages you'd like to give, the floor is yours.
First off, it's Van. Like no hyphenated A. It's just Van. All right. And second, thanks to the IR guys, they put on a good show. So it was a final run of 40 something laps. It was pretty fun. So thank you to them.
There we go. Big race. Number 2 team finishing second on the day here. Checkered flag coming out, and you finish here second. Thank you for your time once again, Van.
Of course, I got you.
Drugman on the way, Aiden Walker, P3, just beyond. And fortunately for Aiden Walker, of all the drivers on the podium, he did not lead a lap, unlike those just ahead, who led a total of 79. Aiden Walker didn't get to lead one, but still came away with a top 3 finish. Aiden, 9th to 3rd on the day, quiet and calm, collected and all. You come away with another podium here. How do you feel?
Well, I mean, best average finish of anybody else this season, so I think it's been pretty good. Yeah, just kind of want to just stay out of trouble all night, like I have been for most of the races, besides Kansas. Kansas was just straight up bad luck. But yeah, just mainly staying out of trouble, staying out of any kind of netcode situations, and yeah, ended up with a nice P3 finish. Killed my tires at the end though, but yeah, just happy about finishing really good again. Finally get to get an interview this week, so
And you mentioned it, consistency has been your key so far in the season, and it looks like you made your big gains through the yellow flag pit cycles. We had to go pretty long here in the final nearly 50 lap run. How close are you on running out of fuel?
well, I think it was I think I was about like 2 or 3 laps really good, so it wasn't too much of a problem. It wasn't like a massive like fuel strategy race where you have to clutch in, hope that you make it on fuel. It was actually kind of a nice calm run to the end. Now, yes, I did have a little bit of pressure, which probably hurt me at the end of the run with just having to push so I didn't lose that track position. Because once you usually lose one position on a restart, you'll just fall back more and more, especially with how Van said like the top didn't work, the bottom didn't work. So it would just make it really hard to pass, especially if they're like similar on pace. Even if they're fast, a little slower than you, it's just really hard to pass when it's a single lane like this, where if you go to the inside, you're just stuck on the inside lane, which is already rubbered up. It's where you just have no grip compared to the guy on your outside, which is just right on that seam, and they're already paying you down because, well, they're trying to keep that seam, but they're also paying you down to keep you down on the inside line. So yeah, that was a little bit why I probably didn't have great tires at the end there. So
So with that, well, another great podium finish. Consistency has been the number 1 thing for your season, and you look pretty strong to make it into the playoffs no matter how the next 2 weeks go. But up next, we're going overseas. You were with us last time we did that in Season 3. It's been a long time since, but now the Oscherslebben's up next as we go on another world tour, albeit it's only going to be for 1 week this time. How do you feel about your chances going left and right?
well, the track I'm not too familiar with, so I'm just gonna be running there just to, figure out some things. Maybe just maybe, because usually we'll have some kind of late restart stuff, so maybe we could win next week. I'm more just trying to get that one win like every season I've done in this series. I think I've only had 3 wins in this series, and it's just from 3 different seasons. Because for some reason I always just win one single race each season. So maybe we can keep that streak going on. I would prefer it to be more in the playoffs though, so hopefully we can keep this momentum up and move on to the playoffs.
And it's a good place to start the season with a load of momentum just before we end our month of October. Aiden Walker, if you have any last messages here, well, the floor is yours once again.
Well, first gotta thank my sponsors, Lively's Custom Diecast, Blue Line Tennessee, Cogdell Motor Company, and well, SKS Motorsports. Go follow them. We'll follow them on Twitter, and of course subscribe to FTN Broadcasting. Great broadcast. Um, multiple broadcasts too. I think we have another one tonight, if I stand corrected.
That we do. It's going to be at Homestead again with the Xfinity cars at 9:30.
Well, go watch that. More content for tonight.
So now, Aiden Walker, thank you once again. On the way with a third place finish here from Homestead. Thank you once more for your time.
Thank you.
And you heard that right. We're going back to Homestead with the Highline Racing League in about 30 minutes time. So, that being said, Aiden Walker, third place. Second place on the day, Van Drugman, who gets it done and gets oh so close, P2 in his second career start. And you've got River Page, who gets the job done. The former champ brings it back to victory lane and does so at the site of his championship victory. Checkered flag is out once again here from the Homestead-Miami Speedway, and we hope you enjoyed tonight's coverage of the IORA Cup Series. We mentioned next week, international racing, road course racing. The Osher-Sleben Grand Prix will come at you, same time, same place, 7 p.m. Eastern, Thursday nights, live always on FTN. You've been watching coverage from the virtual Homestead-Miami Speedway, Race 8 of Season 6 here in the IORA Cup Series. I've been David Kreutz, broadcasting and producing, commentating, and doing all the action from start to finish here with all you lovely viewers. Make sure to leave a like on the stream, subscribe to the channel, and check out our next broadcast at 9:30 p.m. Eastern, the Highline Racing League at the Homestead-Miami Speedway. That's up next, and we'd hope to see you there once again. Scan the QR code on your screen if you want to join the FTN community Discord and stay up to date with all updates from every FTN league, from the Mondays and Tuesdays of the Integrity Racing League to the week beyond, including IORA, Schumacher Racing League, SNT, and all HCBB baseball action coming back at you at the end of the October month. Thank you for tuning in from the virtual Homestead in Miami and from Florida once again. You're watching FTN Broadcasting. We hope you have a fantastic night.